So here's a nice ribeye steak in front of you guys. I bought it at a local grocery store. I came up with an idea to try to dry age a steak in some uncooked rice. So here we go. I put 1 cup of rice on the bottom of my cooking pan, and I'll be placing the steak on top of it. And I'll put another cup of rice on top. Not covering the entire steak, just the top and bottom. I don't want to waste too much rice on this experiment. See how it goes first. So there you go, 2 cups of rice on the steak. Trying to dry age the steak with the rice. Let's see how that works. If it gives it a more tender and more tastier steak. So I'll have this in the rice for a couple days in the fridge. I'll put it in my bottom meat compartment in my refrigerator, which stays a little cooler and keeps a little doesn't have too much effects of the refrigerator being opened and closed, temperature changes and so on. So I'll be putting it there in the meat compartment in the fridge, and I'll cover it with some plastic wrap, and let's check it out in a couple days and see if the rice has sucked some moisture out of it. Here's a close-up view of the steak with the rice. Sealed plastic wrap, and it's time to go in the fridge. Here's the meat compartment in my refrigerator. Temperature control is set to the colder, and see you later, steak. Here's the steak after 2 days in the fridge. I'm gonna go ahead and check the steak out, wipe the rice off the top of the steak, and I will rinse the steak off one time, get all those rice off, and then I will put some paper towel on top of the rice, and then put the steak back on top of that paper towel, just so that when I'm ready to cook it, it's all ready to go and on the pan, without the rice all over the piece of steak. So here I am rinsing off the rice and the steak, and I'll be patting the steak dry with a paper towel, and I'll put a fresh dry paper towel on top of the rice. As you can see, the rice has some of the meat juices on it. I would have thought it would have sucked up more, but that's about it. So here we go, put it on the fresh paper towel, and put the plastic wrap, and I'll be putting it in the fridge for a couple more days, 2 more days. Now let's put this thing in the fridge again and check it out in a couple days and fry it up. So here's the steak after 5 days total in the fridge with the rice. The steak meat, the redness looks almost the same. Doesn't look like it dried out very much, but you can see on the fat there was some discoloration on it. So the moisture, a lot of moisture came out of that chunk of fat. So now that the steak's out and resting, I'll let it rest for about 45 minutes to an hour. I'll go ahead and preheat the oven at 425 or 400, and with the cast iron pan that I'm going to use to cook it in the oven. So here's the steak. It's been sitting on the counter resting for about 45 minutes now, and let's take it out and check it out. Let's take a closer look at this. Some rice did get still stuck on there. We'll just remove that. And here's the meat. It's nice red color, not too dry. Didn't get dried out from the rice at all. Looks like pretty much almost the same steak that I bought a couple days ago, other than that discoloration on the fat. Now let's season up the steak. I'm just gonna do a simple seasoning, just some kosher salt and fresh cracked pepper, and I will be doing this on both sides and rubbing it with some a mix of canola, olive oil, and grapeseed oil. So here I have the stove on high heat. I take the cast iron pan out of the oven. It's been sitting there for quite some time now, 20 minutes probably. And let's put the steak on the skillet. I'll go ahead and cook each side, or the first side, for 3 minutes, and then I'll flip it and put it in the oven for 8 minutes probably. It'll be a nice medium, hopefully a little bit medium rare. Get some pinkish, reddish pinkish out of it. It's kind of fatty on the side, so I'll press the fat before I turn it fully on the pan. Cook some of that fat off of the sides right there. So let this go for 3 minutes. So 3 minutes is up. I'll go ahead and cook some of that fat off on the side and flip it and stick it in the oven for 8 minutes in the 400-degree oven. Eight minutes is up. I'll kill the oven. I'll pull the steak out of the oven in the skillet. Make sure you're wearing really tough oven mitts. The pan is really hot. So here's the steak. Look at all that juice. All that oil and fat is from the steak pretty much, because I only put so much oil on the steak. So let's look at both sides. Look at that. So I'll put it on the cutting board and tent it under some foil for 5 minutes, and let's cut into this steak after that. It's been 5 minutes. This steak is ready to be sliced up. So let's cut into the steak. I got my trusty Global Chef's knife out. Very sharp knife to slice this steak open. And boom, you can see the nice pink color, nice medium on this steak. Let's go ahead and cut off that bone so we could slice the whole thing. Nice and easy. Look at that nice color on the steak. Nice pinkish reddish color. I bet this steak will be juicy. I came up with this idea for aging the steak in uncooked rice from articles I've read about having a wet cell phone and then just putting it in a bag with some rice. So I thought, hey, let's try it with a steak. Let's try to age a steak in the rice. I know that dry aging is a whole process that has to do with breakdowns of the enzymes and the meat and all that, so I don't expect this to be a totally dry aged steak. Just try to see the results, if it would be different, but I don't know. Let's see how the taste, if there's a big taste difference or anything like that. I'll go ahead and put the rest of the juice on the steak, all that drippings from what came out of the steak as I was slicing it. So here is my steak, nice medium. See how tender this is. So here's the results. I think the steak would have turned out the same if I had cooked it the day I bought it from the store without aging it. I think that however you cook it, just cook it the way you want it. If you want medium, make sure you cook it right, and you will get the same results. Thank you very much for watching this whole video. Make sure to subscribe and check out my other cooking videos on this channel. Bye.